Hi, I'm Cody.
And I'm Brandon.
Welcome to Failure to Log Out, where we discuss different anime, video games, etc.
Where we break down different episodes of the anime or video games to help people fall in love with the shows and video games like we did.
If that sounds good to you, then come on, let's log in. Alright, so episode 3 of Super HxEros, the butterfly effect.
Which now I know why it's called the butterfly effect.
Yeah, I knew we had talked about it in the last episode, what you thought was going to be. Were you surprised?
Not really, it still dealt with like butterflies in the stomach.
Yeah.
So I was half right.
Yeah, so the synopsis for this episode, it's pretty much that the one girl's gonna focus on trying to increase her H energy, while there's these little butterflies flying around stealing underwear from girls. Yeah, I mean that's the gist of the episode.
True. Like when it opened up, I'm like, okay. And like,
yeah, because this one it opened up with there was no anime intro in the beginning. It was right into some action.
Yeah, like he was running and like it looked like little like almost like moths, kind of like, but fairies.
Yeah,
that's still women's panties.
Yeah,
like that's their like thing. Like go to is still girls' panties. Even if they're wearing it.
Yeah, this one was more of a. It was kind of like a character introduction episode.
Yeah, because it was basically...
It was really all about Momozoto.
Yeah.
Really, like, getting to know her story. Because even in the opening, we see her using her move that she calls Seducto Strike, where she, pretty much gets down like a track star and goes running to kick a fucking field goal.
Well, I had to laugh because right in the beginning, like, she does that super kick. And then the blonde girl's just standing there going, "Come on, guys, are you ready? Like, is this done?" And then you see the enemy fall, and Momozoto come out and go, "Kill it!" It's like basically dead.
Yeah.
So she like punches it and just like a little like love tap.
Yeah, I love how it cut to everyone and they're like, "Huh?" Even the little bug's like, "Huh?" And then the bug steals Kirara's panties and play anime intro. So yeah, that was how this episode started out, and there's one thing I'm kind of noticing with this series. It seems like there's like you have your main like the main thing the episode's about. Like the butterfly monsters. Yeah, in the beginning for like the first 10 minutes, it's some random other stuff. Because that's like when we're learning about Momozoto, and that's when they're discussing they need to work on their H energy. Like they're trying to figure out why.
Momozoto says, because the blonde girl, like, she used up all H energy, so she had none.
Yeah.
So they were trying to get her to, kind of get her sexual feeling, like showing her porn and stuff like that, rubbing on her boobs.
Yeah.
And she's resisting. And the thing...
I loved it when she was like... When Momozoto was like, "Have you been replenishing your H energy?" And she's like, "No, I haven't." And she's like, "Oh, here's the key." And then she pulls up the porn. And she's like, "Porn." And she's like, "No, I'm not going to watch that smut." And she's like, "What'd you just say?"
And she gives like a heartfelt speech. Well, she's being held back by the other one because she was attacking the blonde. And because she's like, "It's your God-given right to use your boobs as a way that it's supposed to be."
Yeah.
And then the girl that was holding it back goes, "Don't mind her. She's just mad because she got no boobs."
Yeah. I wrote down they were talking about it's boob envy. Like she refers to it so much.
The thing that really fucking got me going is like everything got settled and she's still holding her down, and the gray hair girl just goes.
Actually, I wrote down in my notes, "LOL" when the silver haired chick smacked her in the head with a manga. Yeah, I got a pretty good chuckle out of that one. But no, okay, so this one right after all this happens, then that's when we start getting the back the background information on Momozoda, you find out about her complex with her sister, how her sister had the looks, like a curvy body, all the boys wanted her, but she talks about how, like, she was the one that got straight A's, she was the one who was the star of the track team, she was doing all this extra stuff, but nobody really paid any attention to her.
Yeah.
So you get that little bit where they're explaining her backstory, then all of a sudden, she's flipping through a magazine, and in the magazine it has, like, weight increased breast size. It's a porno, and it's like, it shows a girl with her, boobs out, and the boyfriend, like, behind, like, moving boobs all in a certain way to help increase it, and she's like, are you mocking me? And she throws the magazine, and magically the TV comes on, and it comes on right to a program saying that if researchers have said that if you take a bath in soy milk and massage your chest, that your bust size will grow. So naturally, that's where we're going now.
Yeah. And I guess meanwhile, during that, the blonde hair girl, they're at a swim meet or something like that. Just relaxing, having a good time. And what happens again? The moth fairies, that's what I'm going to call them, because that's what they look like, steal some girl's panties. And so the blonde hair...
Dude, you are skipping a lot of shit.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you're skipping a whole bunch of shit.
So Alright,
so what happens is, when she decides she's going to take a bath, everybody leaves. She stays home to take her soy milk bath. Naturally, there's going to be a fan service scene with her pouring the white soy milk all over her body, and then it cuts to the dog. I'm going to start barking down every time we see this dog. I don't know why, but I don't know. I saw the dog and I wrote dog! ! Underline. But Redo comes back at this point. He doesn't know that anybody's home. He comes in and right off the bat when he walks in, he's like, why does it smell like milk in here? And so he walks into the bath and she's passed out.
Well, no, he gets naked because I think he was going to get a bath.
Yeah, he says he's going to take a bath.
And then, he just walks in, and just like any other anime that I've watched, what's going to happen? Oh my goodness, you're naked!
Yeah.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, but she's all like, she's out of it though. She's whined out because, she's taken in one of those like communal baths. It's like a spa bath, so it's super hot. She's been in there for a long time. She's all lightheaded and drowsy.
Okay, she's been working her boobs trying to make them grow.
Yes, she's been funneling herself. So she says, like, hey, can you help me get out of the bath? Like, I'm lightheaded, I'm not feeling good. So he goes up, he gets behind her to help hoist her out of the tub. And she's like, is this what it's supposed to feel like when your boyfriend, like, massages your boobs? And pulls her out of the tub. And they fall down, and naturally... this is one thing that I love about anime, because it happens all the time. When they fall out of the tub, what are they going to do? They're going to hit the faucet, turn the shower on. So now they're laying on each other. He's laying kind of on his back, and she's on top of him, and now the water's running, and she's panting really heavy. And she's like, she goes, Redo, is it true that you only love girls with big boobs? And then she, like, immediately realizes what she says. She's like, no, it's not like I have a boob complex or anything. It's not like I was in the bath, you taking a bath with soy milk like one does to increase their boob size. No, I'm not doing that at all. And
Lexi goes, so this is what we're doing.
Yeah. And so then it shows that they have, like, a little discussion a little bit longer, and his gear starts going crazy. And I wrote down, I was like, gear's going crazy. Duh. He's turned on by a naked chick laying on top of him. Like, it doesn't matter if you're a boob guy, butt guy, it doesn't matter. Naked chick on top of you, you're gonna be like, alright. And plus when you're a teenager, I mean, but she's like, she takes pride in that, so what this does, it gives her, like, this, like,
confidence.
Yeah, confidence about her. So we flash back to when she's recruited by the uncle, and he says, like, I'm here for you, and she said, no, you probably want my sister, like everybody else does, and he says, no, I'm definitely here for you, Momozoto, and so we flash back to him, or if we flash back to Momozoto, and Kirara comes home, and she goes running up, and she's like, hey! And I wrote down, like, this is a weird thing to try to be a rival about, and she's like, I just want to let you know that I can turn boys on better than you, like, any day of the week. And the Kirara's like, okay. Like, yeah. So that happens. Then it cuts to the silver-haired girl and the purple-haired girl. They're watching TV, and the new TV comes back on. And,
well, that's the end.
That's the end of that little segment. Brandon, I take notes while we watch this shit, so we make sure.
I just finished it.
I do. I take notes, so we follow all of it. The TV cuts to an error, and they're like, I just want to let everybody know about the report that we had yesterday. It was actually an error. Sorry. And then Momozoto pops to the door. She's like, you gotta be kidding me! And then now it cuts, and that's when we get to the swimming pool. Okay. See, that's what I was saying. Like, it seems like they have a tiny, like, little story of just for, like, laughs and stuff. And then now at the swimming pool, now we're going to finish out the last half of the episode, but it's going to be an actual focus on the story of the episode of how it started.
Yeah. Well, they're in the, the girls are getting changed again. And they found that one girl's in the locker and can't find her panties. And it's like, someone stole them. And they're my special panties for tonight. I have a date.
Yes, okay. I was going to say, you have to make sure that you say about the date, because that's actually a plot point. Because when I first watched it, I'm like, okay. But I've noticed, like, little things like that with this show, that to me, I'm like, oh, that doesn't really mean anything. But the little subtle things like that, it does mean something.
And then all of a sudden, like, the little moth fairy comes whooshing through, and so the blonde hair girl...
did you realize it's naked?
I did not notice that.
Yeah, it has one of those little, like, star sensor things on it as it's flying through the hall, and I was like, huh, it's naked too.
Didn't notice that one.
Yeah.
And then, like, she's running down in a swimsuit trying to chase the monster, and, like, she's, like, full on, like, going, and then all of a sudden, the guy comes out of nowhere, and he goes, and she's like, how do you know what was coming? And goes, well, there's just word, just a girl just running down the hallway with a swimsuit, so I just magically thought it was you.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was interesting too. One of the things I wrote down in my notes was they have like a weird dialogue as they're running down the hall.
Yeah, of just bringing up past and stuff like that when they were just running down to get together.
Yeah, as they're running down the hall, like and they're not panting, they're not out of breath. Fuck me, there's no way I could run that much and try to have a conversation.
And the thing that I noticed, because when he did his power punch, he only burned off his shirt.
I made a note about that too. One of the other things I wrote down was I laughed when he asked her as they were running down the hall, is like, oh, is this how you replace your H energy?
Yeah.
But no, I did write that too. They confront the butterfly, and he hits the butterfly. She doesn't lose anything, and he only lost his shirt. And I was like, is that because of the butterfly, like, being like a smaller kind of Keishu? Or Kishu? Like, does that factor in?
I don't know. That's what, like, I was like, huh, they're not both naked. And then, like, he's holding panties in his hand, and the girl that was missing them was like, you pervert, you stole my panties!
Yeah.
And then she was like, the blonde-haired girl was like, no, we kind of attacked a guy, but he went out the window, but here's your...
Yeah. And she's like, oh, well, she wouldn't cover for any kind of a boy, and she's so happy that she gives her a hug, and I wrote down Boob Hug, because why is it an anime, like, whenever they're gonna, like, hug, like, they always nestle their head in the tits?
I don't know.
I wrote, like, those little tropes of, like, a harem style anime, I'm gonna keep, like, bringing up, just because it's just so common, but, like, I don't know. It just... They kind of take me by surprise, and, like, I didn't expect it to be her being the one to do it, but,
And then, the blonde-haired girl asked a favor for the other girls.
Yeah.
Where it cuts to them buying panties, and them going, so, who's the guy? Who's the guy, huh?
Yeah.
And she's like, it's not for any guy. I don't know who you're talking about.
Yeah, she's like, I'm just gonna do it, but buy it for me. I just want it for me. And they're all like, I don't understand. Okay, so as they're going through and they're trying on all the different panties, they end up leaving, and then it goes to, they're walking through the hall, and that girl who had a date, they're like, oh.
They're outside in the streets.
Yeah, they're like, I wanted to see who the date's gonna be, and then it's like a chick, and I wrote it down as, didn't see that coming. Then it now we cut to when everybody.
Well, no, they said they looked and goes, seems right.
Yeah, it seems right, but I was saying I didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
So then we cut to everyone sleeping. And Kirara is standing in Reto's room and starts to undress. And she gets into bed with him.
She just says, just lay there and don't say nothing.
Yeah, lay there, face the other way, don't touch me. And he's just like, what's going on? Yeah. Because he was like laying down to go to sleep, and this chick comes in his room and starts stripping. I mean, my first thought was, what the fuck's about to happen?
And then it cuts to like a little flashback when they're younger, because they both said, this seems familiar. Like
it's not like we haven't slept together before.
Like this.
Yeah.
And it cuts back to them in elementary, where like they fall asleep because they're doing homework. Yeah. And he wakes up and sees her. And it's like, and he was going to draw on her face to get it back for, I don't know what she did for him to get her back.
I don't know. I think it had something to do with she wrote on his face or something like that. Yeah.
So he was about to do it. Like, he was inches away, and she makes this, like face. And he puts the pen away and then leans in. You think he's going to kiss. And then she wakes up and goes, what are you being silly for? Uh-huh.
And she was like, oh, are you going to kiss me? And then he's like, no, I was going to write on your face. And she's like, you can do it if you want to. Then he, like, freaks out with the marker. Yeah. And it looks like he's, like, chopping up, like, sushi. Like, the way he's like, ha, ha, ha. And then it shows, like, what he did on his hand. And it looks like he did the number 7. Like, all those swipes. And that's what it made. I'm like, at that moment, too, I was like, I wish I knew, like, what Japanese writing was and, like, kanji and shit. Because I want to know what he wrote on his hand.
And then it flashes back to the present where they're still sitting there, and then they're just laying there, and all of a sudden, like, you see hands go right on her boobs and start massaging, and she's like, "Oh, this is so great!" And then all of a sudden the class breaks, and she goes, "I think this is getting too far."
Yeah, she's like, "What?" I mean, she says something like, yeah, this is going too far. I never thought he'd build up the courage to do this. And then
like, she's like sits up, and like he sits up, and then all of a sudden, like,
she whips around, and she's like, "You perv!" And then he rolls over and sits up. He's like, "What?" And because then she's like, "Oh wait, it wasn't him."
Because the silver hair girl just pops out again out of nowhere in his bed.
Why are my pillows so warm? That comment made me laugh really hard.
And her shirt is like open.
Oh yeah.
And
she's like, well, how long were you here? And then she's like, I got up to go to the bathroom, and I came back, and the Kirara is like, still the whole time.
Yeah. So she storms off, and he goes, okay, you can go across the room to your room. And she just falls back, and he doesn't do nothing. He's like,
I mean, to be fair, would you?
No, but still.
I mean, because, like, I don't know. It's just one of those things, like, she keeps coming in and sleeping in his room. After a little while, I just be like, fuck it. Just let it happen. Because obviously it's going to keep happening. And but I do love the way he's like, let's get you back to your room. It is literally right across the hall.
And then it goes back to the blonde hair girl in her room. And she's just, I guess, going over things in her head.
Yeah, she's doing that typical thing like a lot of people do whenever they go through something embarrassing, where they're analyzing it and they're like playing all the scenarios in their head. And she's also saying like how she felt about it and how like it's kind of like a mixed feeling. Like she kind of wish that it was him, but also like because she's so repressed from like doing the Keishu in the first episode. It's like took her energy, but now she's still trying to get back to it and everything like that.
And once again, she shoots her H energy up.
Because she punches a pillow.
Yeah, and then she mind you, she's still wearing like just the panties that she just bought.
Yeah,
and she punches through the pillow, through the ceiling, and through like the space. It looks like. And then it cuts and like pillow pieces come off and goes, "I just bought my panties."
Yeah, I gotta laugh out of that, and then so then we cut to the next morning where the uncle's like, "You punched through 2 floors of reinforced concrete like it was cardboard," and he's like, "I knew you had it in you," and he's all like pumped, and Momozota's like, "How did you build up your H energy? It was the porn, huh? You watched those movies?" And she's like, "No, I didn't watch those movies." And she's like, "What's wrong with the movies?" And so like Kirara and Momozota are having like this huge argument, and then it cuts to
the silver-haired girl.
Yeah, the silver-haired girl, like just pretty much her being half awake, just like, "Oh yeah." Like, just showing, like, that's why it was her groping her that gave her H energy.
Which, I don't know, with the ending, with cutting it right to the silver-haired girl, I think episode 4 is going to be
You think it's going to be about her?
I think so. That's my guess.
It's either going to be about her, or it's going to be about the pink-haired girl. Because we're going to start... Now we got to learn about their backstories, too. So episode 4 is called Snow White and the Color of the Sky. So
it has to be about
you
her.
Say that's what you think, because we just covered the episode itself, episode 3, the Butterfly Effect. We just talked about everything that happened in it. So trying to keep the episodes right around a half hour, so we still have a few more minutes to go. So what? Now that we've seen 3 episodes, there's
and I was mistaken.
You were mistaken?
Because the first 2 episodes, he got smacked at the end. The 3rd episode, he did not get smacked.
No, he didn't.
So my theory was getting smacked every episode just fell through.
Yeah.
Because
I don't think... Did he get hit at all in this episode?
No.
I don't think he did.
Because he was hardly... They basically made the episode around Momozota.
Yeah.
So you hardly saw him... The only interaction he really got was the bath scene and the bedroom scene.
Well, and the running through the halls at the school. But yeah, so that covered that episode. So what are your predictions for...
I'm still going to say at the end of the season, those 2 going to fall back in love.
You think so?
Yeah.
I'm kind of leaning towards that way. Because I've noticed something whenever you watch anime. A lot of things with anime, you can kind of get things that are going on in the series. You're getting it through the opening. Like, each anime intro, I mean, it doesn't come around and spell it out for you, but they normally give you subtle clues on things that are going to happen. So there's that's just kind of my theory, because if you in the anime intro, it does show Kirara and Reto about to kiss.
Yeah.
Like they're leaning in to do it. I can't really think of much else to discuss when it comes to the show, just because I really just want to watch the next episode and jump into it. But with that being said, one of the things that we could discuss right now is I know, like, we had talked about video games also that we will eventually like bring into this show too. And I know me personally right now, I am playing through Atelier Ryza because the second one is coming out next week. So I wanted to beat the first one, so I have a good glimpse of the story.
Yeah.
Is there anything like right now that you're playing?
The only thing I has really touched on is Temtem, and I restarted Last of Us 2 because I wanted to see if the graphics were any better. on the PS5 than it was on the PS4.
Oh, yeah, they had the boost performance mode.
Yeah.
So I'm playing Atelier Ryza, which is an anime style video game created by Gust, which they actually made the Fairy Tail game. And Atelier, it's a very fun series. But as I was watching like some of the cutscenes and stuff today, I started thinking about like what is the next anime that we are going to cover after this show, because I mean until there's another season we are going to have to move on. And I guess in my mind, when we're trying to figure all this out, and I believe in full transparency with podcasting, and so like one of the things I want to try to avoid whenever we're doing this is I don't want to get into a huge series.
How about one that has maybe 2 seasons in a movie?
2 seasons in a movie?
Yeah.
Why the fuck did you just like raise your eyebrows?
Because it's one of my favorites.
Heaven's Lost Property.
Yes.
Oh my, yes.
So we have to...
That was one of my all-time favorites.
So that's one I would like to cover.
Yeah, we can do that. The reason I was saying like I don't want to try to avoid like the big ones is because I'm watching season 4 of Attack on Titan right now, which is the final season. Well, each season of that's like 20-something episodes,
True.
and you got to think if we're doing one episode each time we record, that's gonna be an entire year just for one show. You know,
And
it would 2 seasons.
What do you think about Fairy Tail?
Yeah, that's one that I don't want us to touch. I'll talk about Fairy Tail. Hell, I love Fairy Tail. I've watched every episode. I collect the mangas. I'm actually reading the sequel series, but it's just that's too big of a series.
Yeah.
I'd be okay with like Heaven's Lost Property 2 seasons, because there are only 12 episodes I think a season plus the movie.
Yeah.
Another series I wouldn't mind us covering, when with getting away from like the harem style, because we have to branch out and do other ones too. There is. Oh crap! I can't think of it. There's just so many other ones that we could do. Like that time I got reincarnated as a slime. That was a good one. But yeah, so I mean that's kind of the plan anyway. Is what I'd like to get into. Because you gotta think, next episode we record is gonna be episode 4. That means we are a quarter of the way through the season.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Just trying to get a game plan going forward. With all that being said, is there like anything you want to bring up? You want to talk about?
Stay tuned for episode 4.
Yeah, episode 4. Which, speaking of that, what do you think it's gonna be about?
Well, you already kind of explained it. Blonde hair.
See, but like I said, we don't have a synopsis or anything for it, so we can't really go. And I don't even remember the preview, because at the end of each episode of Super HxEros, it has a preview, and it didn't show anything. It just said like what the title was gonna be.
I'm still gonna say it's gonna be about the silver hair girl.
I think it'll be about purple hair. That's my guess, because of the still image that I saw. Like when I go to hit continue watching, it shows the purple hair girl. Something with a snake too, which is weird. Like there's a snake wrapped around her. So I'm thinking we're gonna get like a weird like tentacle porn hentai scene thing going on. Which, speaking of that, I was thinking about this when I was watching the show. Do you remember another series that we watched? They kept referencing H.
H?
They kept referencing H a lot.
We watched this before.
Yes, we watched this early on.
Was it Keijo?
No.
No?
Yamada's first time.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah, B got a HK. Yamada's first time. That was its, like, title.
So are they all virgins?
Well, yeah, remember she wanted, the whole thing of Yamada was to hook up this dude because he's a cherry boy, and she wants, her life goal was to bang 100 guys before high school, I think it was.
Yeah.
But no, that's when they keep referencing H energy. That's what made me think of Yamada's again. So that's a show we could talk about. But while I was saying that, I did think of the one series I would like us to cover, because I don't think you've watched it, and I've read 13 or 14 of the light novels. Is It Wrong to Try to Pick Girls Up in a Dungeon?
Okay.
Because it is kind of like a harem fan service kind of anime, but the premise of it is kind of like a dungeon crawler RPG, where your characters, like, the characters have levels and stats and, like, upgrades and shit like that. But it's not, like, a video game based, that's just how their world is. Because the gods, like, Loki and Hephaestus and everything, they make familias, families, and they're, like, guilds, and they give them some of their powers. It's really, really intriguing. But I saw the season 2 of that's coming, so...
All right.
But, alright, with that being said, I think that will wrap up this episode, and stay tuned next week.
For episode 4.
Episode 4, Snow White and the Color of the Sky. Thanks for listening to the Failure to Log Out podcast.
If you like what you heard, give us a like, and don't forget to subscribe.
We are on Apple Podcasts, Podbean, and YouTube. If you could leave us a review, it helps out a lot.
You can also check me out on the Platform Podcast every Saturday on Twitch and YouTube.
And you can also check me out on the Lunch After Dark podcast, and we're anywhere you listen to podcasts, we're going to be there. With that being said, we'll see you next time.